Hello and welcome to another episode of Word Up. We'll have a brilliant one coming up for you with my good friend Kat Woods. Just want to take this opportunity to say Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I hope you're all having a good time, enjoying yourselves. And if you have kids, that you actually look after them, because if you don't, you can go and fuck yourself. I want a big shout out to Mike Curtis, who is listening to this right now while he's doing his London to Brighton. The wee fucking legend cycles all the way from London to Brighton every Father's Day. Doesn't spend it with his kids when he's joking. Enjoy yourself, babe. But he actually turns around and he cycles right back again, which is absolutely fantastic. So, Curtis, I know you're listening to this. I hope you have an absolute ball, babe, and do it for Ireland. Do you know what I mean? I also want to say, before I get Kat Woods on, that you have to read her book, Killymuck. Kat is from Fermanagh, and she's an absolutely fucking fabulous person. She's so interesting. So I want to just bring you on and watch and enjoy. Thank you very much. Welcome to Word Up Podcast. What about yous? I am here today with Kat Woods, who is an absolute fucking legend. I broke the back of the fox so that you would know that it's okay to swear. If you're offended by fuck or bollocks, this isn't the podcast for you. However, we do aim to help you go from articulate to articulate. Yes, I made that one up and I have been sticking to it every episode because I'm like, that play on words isn't going to waste. I need to get my money's worth out of it. You know what I mean?
You know what? And see, every time, I'm either editing this or and somebody else is about, and hear that we land at the start, it always gets me.
Aye.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's not like, yeah, but I still do every time. I'm like, do you know what I mean?
Screw me now.
Fucking love it.
Clever.
Thank you, sure. Kat, do you want to tell us about what it is you do?
I don't even
know.
Do you know what it is? They stumble through life and things just happen because I'm a chaos magnet. Yeah. So I think I just do the chaos. And what I actually do is I write and direct theatre.
Yes. I met Kat whenever I was in university. So I did. And I was in first year and Kat was in third year. And do you know, it's so mad because I was telling Curtis about this whenever I got back. I would have admired you from afar.
What?
Because I saw...
I was a complete mess in university.
Who wasn't? But it was whenever the stick with the winners sort of notion, looking at you, see, whenever I went to university and I got into that course, I was there to fucking prove myself, right? And I remember going to see, one of the things that you had directed in third year, because it was your third year project, and thinking, fuck, yeah, I want to do that.
Same old story.
But it was yeah.
And
you also did the, that little one about Gilderstein is dead in second year. That was yours. Would that have been, or no, somebody else did.
No, but we'll take it. We'll take it.
We'll take it.
Was it good? Aye, it was me.
I think he might have been acting, sorry, actually, in it. But I just remember being there and thinking, right, that's, and I remember seeing how our lecturers would have spoken to you and gave you time because they were like, this girl's actually in it, she's going to do it.
No, I honestly think they spoke to me and gave me time because I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing. I worked full time in a restaurant called Donano's in Derry.
Oh, did you work in Donano's?
Oh my God. And I used to be working all the time. And I used to do this thing where I wouldn't have enough time to go up to my house, which was literally about a 10-minute walk, but it was just being a lazy wee bitch. And what I used to do was I would gate crash other people's lectures. So we had a mutual lecturer called Lisa Fitzpatrick, and I never actually had her for any modules.
Did you not?
No, and I used to just sit in her. She did I think it was feminist theatre or theatre. I don't know. It was something to do with feminism.
Yes.
Theatre. And I used to just go in and sit in it. And there was one day she just looked at me because I put up my hand to answer a question. She's like, you're not even in this class. And I was like, yeah, no, I have to leave because I'm
getting my fucking money's worth out of this tuition fees. Yeah, totally. So you should. But that's brilliant, actually. Because half of the people that were doing other subjects didn't even bother to show up for any of their own lectures. Because whenever I actually loved university, because it's going to sound weird, I didn't have a lot of drama friends. Mm. A lot of my mates ended up doing international politics and things like that. Well, I met them there because I had already...
So what you're saying is a lot of your friends are clever?
Yeah, well, they're just not pretentious. I studied government criminology the year before I went there, and it was like Tom actually turned around to me in the graduation and said, "You were the wild card, you know. We were only interviewing you as a courtesy."
Amazing.
Because the lecturer at my university that I was at in the Belfast campus had sent an email and said, "This girl really, really wants to do drama." Because I was just like, what the fuck am I doing government criminology for? I'm not supposed to be doing this. I wanted to be a playwright, but it was too shady to do drama, and now I'm stuck, you know?
Yeah.
But I just remember thinking, see, if I get in here, I'm gonna do this. I'm really gonna do it. And I just remember feeling really out of my depth in terms of class. Because I just thought, first year, I know it's my own insecurities that was projecting, but I remember ringing my dad and being like, I don't belong here. These people are all really, posh, and they all went to the Lyric to do their drama schools in the summer, and, I'm just a hellion compared to them, and I just remember feeling really low about it, and he was like, you do belong there. You just put your head down and you do what you have to do. But I remember looking, and you were in your third year, so, you were fucking ruling it. And I remember thinking, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this.
It's so mad. Whenever you look back and you think about the state of what I was at, and whenever you say, oh, I looked at you and thought, oh my God, this is what I want to do or whatever, and you were looking at finished products of stuff that we had worked for ages on. But to get there, I remember before, in my final year, as I've told you before, I am a chaos magnet. I have the propensity in my brain to manifest, but I don't manifest the positive. I manifest the negative. Mm-hmm. So I am the opposite of what The Secret is. What The Secret teaches. I am whatever the opposite of The Secret is.
What would the opposite of The Secret be? A rumor, a headline?
Anything that is purported in The Secret, where they're like, oh, this is what you do to manifest positive stuff.
Common knowledge.
I'm I must apply that, because that seems you listen to Jim Carrey and about him writing that £1 million blank check, and then the next week or something he was cast as Ace Ventura, and then he has all the money.
As somebody who suffers dreadfully from OCD, and not the nice version of OCD that people have where they like to have things all clean. I'm literally the repetitive, compulsive thoughts. Used to have to turn the light switch on and off 50 times or else my ma would die. But coming from that perspective, whenever I was in therapy, it's true. She's still alive. But
did you ever just think, right, what if you had a fight with her? I'll not do it this time.
But the first time I ever did, I actually joke about this on stage.
This is how she ends.
The first time I went to therapy and I did a lot of stuff, but the first time I was ever able to just turn a light switch on and off, just turn it on once, my ma was like, she fucking wants me to.
See, I've wee rules like that. See, if I walk past, a yellow car, I give myself a wee, dig.
Me dig in the knee?
In the knee. I guess. Because you're meant to do it to someone else. But, I don't know, I decided when I was, a kid that if there was nobody else there, I had to do it to myself.
But that's with the magpies as well. If you haven't got anybody to look at the magpie, do you do that? Or does the magpie look at it? So it's one magpie seen by two, it's good luck for me and you. Or else you go, good morning, Mr. Magpie. And I always add, how's your wife and kids?
It's weird because we have in Fermanagh.
Right, go.
Or maybe this is just my house, because sometimes I put things to Fermanagh. I'm like, oh, that must be a Fermanahism, and it's actually not, because no one else in Fermanagh does it. It's just what we do in our mental house. So it's one seen by two doesn't come true.
Oh,
so
right, I like that. Yeah, well, that's a wee variant
of
it,
you
isn't it?
spit to the ground and say, go back to the devil, whoever the devil is.
The devil, yeah. But see, I don't know, my mad knocked my bollocks in for spitting.
See if I, don't hit my leg right away for the yellow car, or if I turn away.
What happens?
And I'm not looking at it, I have to give myself more.
Really?
And if I, still get it wrong the next time, I have to,
is that
do it 4 times or something.
That's verging into some kind of self-harm.
Yeah, I know.
I wouldn't say this on a podcast.
If I don't follow the rules here.
It's what do you call those Opus Dei monks that self-flagellation? He's like, that's why I try not to pass superstitions on though, because it all starts off as a superstition.
It starts in childhood.
And then but that's, so see this manifestation thing, I do believe in manifestation, and so far as you visualize something and you know what you're working toward, and your body is naturally, your brain's like, right, this is what we're doing. But whenever I said to a psychologist before, he was like, so what's going to happen if you don't do it in intervals of 2? And I was like, something really bad, like my mum's going to die. He said, or sometimes I think a thought and I have to unthink it, like think, no, that's not going to happen. And he said, listen, if your thoughts came true, why haven't you won the lottery yet? I was like, because I don't fucking do it. But, you know, I was like, right, okay, that's true. So I'm verging on that. Do thoughts come true for a good thing? But if that happens, then they'll also come true for bad things. So I don't like thinking like that.
But I think maybe you're in my group. Yeah. Like, you know, I was watching, I fell down a rabbit hole last night of watching this psychic. I can't remember now what her name was. But she used to go on, like, the Montel Williams show and try and solve, like, mysteries where people had been kidnapped or they had been, like, murdered and hid somewhere. And she'd be like, oh, yeah, I see your child. They're in, like, some type of tin can. But then, apparently, like, things would be, like, she would attach the truth to if they found the child, like, or if they found somebody in the boot of a car. And she'd be like, yeah, I said that.
Yeah.
In November of last year, I said the child to be found in a tin can. And you'd be like, yeah, but that is where they're usually found, in the boot of a car.
Or they say by a body of water. They're by a body of water.
By a body of water,
that's nearly
or something
flowing.
Time. Something flowing could be anything.
There could be a drip and tap or an old hose pipe there, and they'll go, I told you.
But she gets out
I found the child. It's dead. There's no point in looking anymore. Let's go home, get a cup of tea.
It's dead.
That's terrible. God forgive me, I'm so dark.
But she gets out of her mistakes by saying, but sometimes I get things wrong, and then somebody will say to her, well, why are you not a millionaire? How come you haven't, like, put all your money on a bet or done the lotto or done something like that? And she's like, yeah, but I can't see my own future. I'm too emotionally involved with myself. Or like if it's about her family, well, why don't you tell your family to do the lottery numbers? No, I'm too. Yeah. Or why don't you tell somebody that? And she still keeps doing it. Yeah. If you've spent more than 10 times with me, we're too emotionally involved. So it was a really
you can walk up to a stranger and give them the numbers at least.
Exactly. Just give somebody
selfie spit.
And get away. Have like a caveat at the bottom that you get at least 20% of the winnings.
Yeah.
Like a really fine print.
Yeah, totally. By accepting this, you have accepted the terms and conditions. Do you know what I mean? If your fingerprint is on this piece of paper, you're fucked.
What do you think of mediums then?
Mediums? What do you think of mediums?
My sister's psychic. So I think I wouldn't believe things that happen unless they happen to me. And there has been a lot take the tone of the podcast down to super depressing. But something happened and I can't explain it. Mm-hmm. And only it happened to me, and it happened in a room full of people, so there was witnesses. Mm-hmm. And then something happened the next day. Will I just tell you what it was?
Just tell me, please.
So my dad was murdered and he was stabbed to death, and I was at university, and I've always worked. I've worked in hospitality from the age of 14, so I never go to bed before, like, my body clock is completely fucked. I never go to bed before 2 o'clock. I just can't. My job in where we were staying, I went to Jordanstown first before I did the drama degree. I did a sociology degree, because I didn't go back into drama until I was like 25. But back into drama, I never did drama. I didn't go into drama at all until I was 25. But where we were staying, we were on campus. We had like a wee house. We stayed in halls the first year, and then we remained in campus because we were losers and we didn't know how to make choices for ourselves. But my job was always to turn off all the lights, and unplug maybe I have a bit of OCD. Maybe it wasn't actually my job at all. I just
you were just doing it.
But I got this. We were watching, and I remember exactly where we were in the room. There was no seats left. So my best friend Geraldine, she also lived in that house. She was from Fermanagh, and we were watching this video. It was Patch Adams with Robin Williams in it, and the only reason that we were watching that was because we lived with this girl, and she was in the Christian Union. Nice. And my best friend Geraldine, her boyfriend had given us a video player, and we were the only people with this video player in the row of houses we lived in. So everyone used to come round to our house to watch a video because we were cool. Yeah. This makes me sound like I'm 105. This isn't that long ago. It's the year 2000. But anyway, so she had this video. There was this Patch Adams. That's the only reason we were watching it, because it was their Christian Union thing, and she was hosting around our house.
Can you imagine the Christian Union of North Tyrone with their acronym? Sorry.
It was just so pure, though. Like,
Yeah.
this Patch Adams, I wasn't really into it anyway. Like, it was
You loved it. Tell the truth. You cried. Robin
I
Williams
didn't
is
even
great.
watch the end of it. That's how, like, so anyway, we were all sitting together. So, and I got this insane pain in my side to the point where I thought, oh my God, I've got appendicitis.
Yeah.
Because I remember somebody else whenever we were younger having appendicitis and, you know, it was that pain in their side. So I tucked myself off to bed and everybody was like, what the fuck, where's she going? Why's she going there for? And I went to bed, got up the next day, and I got up really early, never used to rise. I used to miss all my lectures and everything this way and dropped out of that. But
With sociology, nobody blames
sociology. I did 3 years though. I just didn't do my final exams. But we'll call it a first though.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
Where did
who's going to check?
Definitely.
I got a first.
Yeah, you did. You got a first in sociology. Babe, manifest.
She is sociologist. Hang on, well, let's go back to the question of what do I do? I'm a sociologist.
Yeah, totally. Sociologist.
But so I went off to bed anyway, and I couldn't sleep. Sorry.
It's okay.
I couldn't sleep because this pain was just throbbing, and I got up the next day and I thought to myself, I'll go to the doctor on campus, right? And I got up at like 7:30 and I crawled up the stairs, and 2 girls, there was like 6 of us that lived in the house. 2 of the girls, Jem and Claire, were doing proper degrees. They were our proper degree people.
What's a proper degree?
Physiotherapy. So they used to have to leave really
Does she
early.
work with like lemonades, making people feel better?
I don't know.
Physiotherapy.
Oh, I get it.
I'm a dick.
I get it.
Sean is looking at me with disgust right now. He's like,
The worst
why?
pun.
Why did you do that? I am not
Mineral
even going to
water.
produce this podcast anymore. You're horrible, Bruna. Stop it.
I
Sorry.
didn't even clock it. I was like,
Fizzy.
PH.
Going to study
What?
physiology. I'm going to make
PH.
lemonade.
Neutral. I was going to the PH.
Yeah, you were
neutral.
going
I
to
don't
the
know where-
intelligence
I don't
street,
know where I
but
was
you had to go lower than that, babe. Sorry.
But so she was doing they were doing physiotherapy, and they used to leave really, really early because they were doing they used to like study and like actually participate in their degree, whereas nobody gave a
nerds.
fuck. Nobody gave a fuck about those 3-year degrees where you don't actually have a job at the end of it.
Yeah.
Like you just fucked about. But so they were on the way down the stairs, and our shower was up the stairs, and I was crawling up, and they were like, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "I'm going to have a shower because I don't wanna." Like, and I don't know where I thought the doctor was going to check because, like, I went up to wash my vagina.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to
Naturally.
be clean
Just in case he wants
in
to
case
have a
he
look.
wants to have a wee peek.
In case he
in
goes,
case he-
well, you've got appendicitis, but I might say your muff is absolutely rotten and you need to sort that
I just, we'll just have a wee look. Take your pants off.
out.
Where's the pain? Here.
In my
Get them
tonsils.
knickers off.
Yes.
And I'm like, no problem, because I would oblige.
I
Because
might be able
grew
to
up in
see
the
it
90s.
from down here.
Yeah. We're going to have to put a camera up there. Your wee middle hole. I'm like, no bother.
Your
Go
wee
ahead.
middle hole.
Go for it. What's that? That's not a camera. Oh, it's attached to you. But
I love how dark you make it.
but anyway, so I went and I didn't actually go to the doctor. What happened was I had my shower and I was in my bedroom, then came back down the stairs, and I was drying my hair with a hairdryer. And as I was drying my hair, I had this Nokia 5210. You remember those wee old Nokia phones with the wee tiny aerial?
Yeah.
And I had a really cool Betty Boop pink fascia. Is that what you called them? The thing that
Yes,
you
that
clicked
attached
onto the phone?
Maybe
Yeah.
it still works if you were to
I
charge
tell
that
you,
and turn it on.
that brick was with me for a while.
Yeah.
Probably still
I
has
love
charge in
that
it.
phone.
Yeah, it probably still has charge in it.
God knows where it is. Somebody's probably
Bring back the
drug dealer
Nokia
probably has it.
3310.
Love them. No, 5210. It wasn't even. It
5210.
wasn't the upgrade. It was older. This was the year
Oh.
2000.
Oh, right, yeah.
This
yeah.
was.
Oh, this was one of those ones you could have hit the peelers with.
Oh yeah,
It was
and it
just-
had like a wee thing on, like a wee aerial thing. But so anyway, my phone was charging, and I was drying my hair, and I could see home flash up, and I get this phone call, and it's like, it was. First of all, it was the police, then it was the priest, and then it was my mother. And I was like, why are all these men in the house? Mother, what's going on? And I had a full-blown fight with the priest. It was like, come on, fuck. And then...
Your mother sucks cocks in hell. Oh, wait, wrong story.
And then what happened once the priest was all, listen, I'm going to send the priest from the campus round. Your father is dead. And at that stage, they told me that he had a heart attack. And I was like, what? He was 6'2" and he was quite fit. And I was like, a heart attack? That's so bizarre. He ate quite well. Like, he drank and smoked. I did not know that you could get heart attack.
Yeah.
You know, that
This was-
other things caused heart attacks. I just thought people that were rotund got
Yeah.
heart attacks.
Yeah,
You know, because
totally.
we were just a wee bit dumber back then about what healthy looks like.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was like, that's really strange. And he's like, I'm going to send the priest from campus, because I was all, I'll get the bus home. And they were like, you're not getting the bus home. It's like a 3-hour journey
Right.
to where we live. And I was like, no, I'll get the bus home. And I was clearly not thinking straight. And I still had the pain in my side. And I told him on the phone, I was like, listen, but I have to go to the hospital because I have appendicitis. I was
Right.
like, all right, do you? And I was like, yeah. But so then the priest came from Jordanstown. He brought us, my best friend then came with us, and he sat me down. He was like, listen, your dad's been murdered. And I was like, is it a terrorist attack? And my
Yeah.
father wasn't involved in anything.
Did
Like, he
you
was
say
from
that?
Cavan.
Bless your
I
heart.
had no understanding. I was like, I don't understand.
Because whenever
why.
we hear murder or like killing,
Yeah.
we think there's been a bomb or something.
Yeah,
like, you know.
exactly. Or
Yeah.
like something like that, something
Yeah.
of that ilk. You never had murder trauma that happened outside the Troubles.
Yeah.
Like, it was
that's
just
true.
such a weird thing to happen. But anyway, we were, the priest drove us home, and he stopped off at this garage, and he was like, do you want anything in the garage? The priest was a full weirdo. And he was like, do you want anything in the garage? And I was like, no, we're fine. And he brought back like bottles of water or whatever. But whilst he was away, I suddenly clocked what was happening in the car. He had Shania Twain's album with Man I Feel Like a Woman on a loop.
Oh my
A
god.
Man I Feel Like a Woman had come round for the second time. And
The priest.
I was like to my friend, is this Shania Twain's album with Man I Feel Like a Woman on it? Like, complete bop, but also, does he think that he's like, right, with 2 girls in the car?
Yeah, we'll try and make them feel
What's
comfortable.
really cool?
Yes.
Shania Twain.
Do you think maybe he had a wee pair of knickers on him, lacy knickers underneath,
Probably.
and he had washed his
He
fanny
was
for the doctor?
so, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
More than likely, now
Oh my
looking back
gosh.
on that time. But anyway, I get home and I go into the house, and first of all, the priest went against me before I went to my house. There might be newspaper people here, don't talk to them. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Are we famous now? And that's all I was thinking. And then I started fixing my hair and all, and my friend Jordan was like, what are you doing? I'll just give myself away.
Yeah.
I was completely like, clearly I was in shock.
Naturally.
And then I went into the house, and like we grew up in a housing estate, and there was like 5 kids, and everybody was scattered, and it was just a really bizarre situation. Then the priest that was in my house was like, right, we need to get you to the hospital. I'll take you to the hospital. So he took me up, because I still thought that I had appendicitis, and he took me up to the hospital. And then whenever I was in the hospital, this matron came along, and she just looked at me, and she was like, what are you doing with Father Jim Murr? And I was like, what? What is happening? And then I just looked at her and went, my father's just been murdered. And she just went against me, oh my God, are you one of the Woodses? And I went, yeah. She went, I'll just get you to the doctor. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
So she was full implying
Right.
that I was with this priest
Yeah.
under some kind of weird
Yeah.
thing.
I have a pain in my side.
I have a pain in my
Man,
side.
I
Where
hate
do
feeling like a woman.
Exactly. I don't want to feel like a woman anymore.
Yeah.
But he wants to feel me like a woman.
Yeah, I love
But so go into the doctor, and the doctor's like, listen, I can't find anything. He said something inappropriate about being well padded, and I was like,
Cheeky
it was just such a bit, whenever Everett, like this catalogue, something
Yeah.
clicks in this catalogue of stuff happens. So then he was like, I'm going to give you some painkillers, blah, blah, blah. And then we get home, and he was like, the police came, and then they started to tell us stuff about the crime scene. And then we figured out that when I first had the pain, that was when they reckon, like, they didn't know about my pain, obviously.
Yeah.
But I remember the time, because I remember
Yeah.
thinking, God, it's just midnight.
Yeah.
It was around just before midnight that I went to bed, because it was like, it's so early. But they reckon that's whenever my dad had the first stab wound into his side.
Oh my God.
And I felt that. And then my older sister felt the same thing, and she was in America.
Wow.
And we can't explain it. And that was before we knew that he was stabbed.
Wow.
So it wasn't like somebody went, he's stabbed, and then you get a pain.
Pain. You
It
felt
happened.
it beforehand.
And I can't explain it. And there was witnesses in the house.
Wow.
And there was nothing wrong with me.
Goosebumps.
I did not have appendicitis. I've
It was
never,
fine.
listen, one time I ate raw chicken. I didn't even get sick. I didn't even get a day off school. It was
Oh
like,
my
like
God.
I am built like that. I don't have that thing
that's
where it gets
insane.
mad.
So you have to. There are things that can't be explained, and you just have to.
You just have to kind of have.
Yeah.
Because I just think there's other.
Yeah.
All I know is that I know nothing. Like in that sense, that we can never prove. And like I believe in God. I'm spiritual. I'm not religious, you know, and I do believe in a power greater than myself. And it's not very popular to say that these days.
The BBC commissioners, they could be God.
They could, yeah. Well, this is it.
I mean, a power
They are
greater
a power
than
greater
ourselves.
than me, totally. But yeah, I'm just like I do find that I think with mediums and the like, there's probably a lot of frauds out there because there's people that are capitalising on other people's grief.
Completely.
But that's not to say that there aren't people who can genuinely, you know, pick up on vibes. There's been shit that's happened to me as well. That's like beyond explanation. Do you know what I mean? I'm really sorry about.
Oh no!
your
Oh my
dad
God!
as
Why is
well,
that?
like. Yeah. What are we like?
No,
It's only a wee bit of trauma.
sorry.
Trauma laugh.
Continue. I like to laugh through all the trouble.
Yeah, same. That's how we end up class as we are. Kat and I reunited at thing in London on Thursday. There, I kind of just walked up to you, stalked you, and that was the end. Now we're friends for life.
And then I just spoke in your ear for about 2 hours, and that is why I have lost my voice.
Like seriously, we will be together in 60 years' time, like just crooning together because it was fucking great. So we had to go and like meet all these BBC people and try and beg them for money to make our shows and stuff. If
I'm
you
so
happen
bad
to see
at
this,
those things.
me too.
I don't know what is wrong with my brain, and I think it's the part of my brain that gets sacked from jobs where I don't have any like capacity for the person in charge of me. And I just
I have a
find
terrible
it
problem
really,
that way
really
too.
hard
Yeah.
to like look at the people in the commission, like the commissioners that
And
can
go like,
potentially
"No."
change your life.
It's not so much that I have a problem with authority. I just genuinely can't be beggy, and like it's not in our nature. But growing up as like a working class person, people would like to make out like we've always got our hands out, but we're actually really, really proud people. And like you know yourself, they come round. See in the estate that I live in, like you'll get all sorts of fucking charities. Now, do you want to give to the Dogs Trust? Do you want to give to this? Do you want to give? And you're going, go to the fucking Malone Road, and they go, they don't answer the door over there. They get all their best business where we're from. Do you know what I mean? But then I don't like people that come off as if they try and come off as if they're cut better than you. You know, because you're going, well, I probably could have been the head of that fucking organisation too if I'd have been born into a family where there was 2 really stable incomes and 2 parents and no troubles and fuck all going on and, you know, the
But
best
it's
of
also
schools.
the cultural element.
Yeah.
Like I didn't get into drama or theatre or writing or getting into TV. I didn't know these jobs existed because in school I was just the kid from the estate that grew up on benefits that had like that was bad. I was the bold child. Like I was on report for insolent behaviour in 5th year for a
Mate, your
whole
mate.
year.
Me too.
Like for a
Everywhere I
whole
went,
year.
that wee report came.
Just the wee insolent, and I didn't even know, talking about words, word up, I didn't know until recently what insolent meant, and I was like, was I insolent? More than likely, there's a 99% chance that I was, but also was I right in the situation? Probably. Is as well.
Yeah.
Because
Do you want to hear the word of the week? I've been so carried away with talking that I've been like, so the word of the week is, that's the dirty word of the week. We're not getting that until after. So the word
dirty
of the
word first
week is phlegmatic, right? Phlegmatic.
It's not to do with phlegm.
But it actually is. Well, the etymology of it is rooted in phlegm, right? Yes, go
Didn't
you.
think it- listen, sometimes there's something happening in there.
That's the ADHD.
It is,
Isn't it?
I'll tell
it's
you.
just like knowing shit. You catalogue it somewhere and you
You
go,
catalogue it, and then like you'll not remember when you need to remember it.
Yeah.
And then it'll come out of you
definitely.
someday.
You'll tell somebody whenever you're supposed to be in a serious, the doctor's checking your appendix via your fanny and you're going, do you know that phlegmatic is rooted in the word? But you won't be able to remember it if somebody asks you what it means. Totally.
Absolutely
So it's relating to, phlegm, this is the etymology of it. It is obviously in relation to bodily humour, like how you carry yourself. So it's, if you say someone's phlegmatic, like of a person, you have like an unemotional or like stolidly calm disposition, right? So you would go, he's very phlegmatic. So, or it was impossible to stay phlegmatic when I was watching Boris Johnson on the television. Do you know what I mean? Like, those people. And I chose the word because I thought, you and I are not...
We're the opposite.
Phlegmatic.
No.
You know, like...
My emotions are in my face. There's been times... So I lived in London for 10 years, and I remember, like, an actor I had in a play, and he just was all... As a director, sometimes when I've given a note, and the note isn't followed through, I wear it. It's not coming out of my mouth, but it's on my face, and I have no way. I don't have control of whatever happens in my face. And this particular actor had said to me, "Can you not look at us?"
Really?
And I was like, yeah. And I just turned around and then
Did you?
I knew that they were still not following the notes.
Yeah.
So it was like, I need to like try and work out how we solve what
She
they're
goes
doing
and
'cause they're not getting it.
Botoxes her entire face and just stands there and goes, "You still did it fucking wrong."
I've just got a very flexible way of expressing my emotions.
My ma says that to me about, I think I used to trigger her, like our ones, because my dad does this thing where he'll raise his eyebrow. I can't do it on cue, but like if he finds something incredulous or he thinks you're being a dick, he raises one eyebrow. And if I would do that to my ma, she would go, "Don't fucking raise your eyebrow at me like that." Prototyping, you know, she would get triggered. And I was like, just reminds her of my dad or something. She would go, "Don't fucking raise." And I would go, "I'm not even doing anything."
Can you do one eyebrow? I always wanted to be able to do that.
I can't do it on cue. But that's what annoys me. It's whenever something genuinely is shocking to
It's a
me or
natural
I'm
reaction.
incredulous, I feel it happening. I feel the eyebrow going up
It just
here.
goes up.
And it curves in the middle a wee bit, no, like the rock. And then I'll even go, "Oh." I know, to try and hide it because I'm being so fucking cheeky. Well, it's only my ma would really understand what that really, really means. It means, "Did you fuck?" Do you know what I mean?
Like,
Or, "What do you
lying.
mean you fucking idiot?" You know. But she goes,
I do have playing in the band as well. Like, if somebody messes something up or does something like a different way, I like have a sweet reaction to like gulp and then like raise my eyebrows up and go and like sigh a wee bit.
Yeah.
And I have no control
that's
over it.
breath
And
control because you're trying to calm yourself down.
And I know fine rightly that they're going, "He's a cheeky bastard." And I know myself, I'm like, that's so cheeky that I'd like really pointed out their mistake there,
No,
but
it's not.
I can't help it. I'm like,
I do that whenever I'm watching comedy a lot. Like whenever I'm doing stand up, and I love seeing like new people coming around and stuff and trying new things. And that's the thing, new things. Sometimes if I see, like there's been a couple of instances where I've watched somebody do stand up, you know, and they're either ripping it off, like lifting it from somebody, you know, so you go, I'll go, "Oh God. You know, but I'll be sitting there, "Oh God." Oh God. And you know, and it actually happened whenever a guy, he was trying to pull something off and he's only knew about, and he said something that was really, really fucking cringy, right? And also, doesn't matter if it's really cringy as long as it's funny, but it wasn't funny, right? And it fell dead. It fell dead. Like, you could have heard a pin drop, right? And I chose that exact fucking moment to go, "Oh, Mum, my hand's scundered." Do you know what I mean? Like, I was like, "Oh, Jesus." But I can't, because I get really, I am too much of an empath, and I feel embarrassment for people. I feel, so, like, I was sitting there, and I'll actually go like this and all, and, you know, I'll cringe for people, and I've really had to school that to the point where I'm like, "Don't do that, Bruno," because everybody thinks you're a dick doing that. You know, it's terrible. But to be fair, you know, it doesn't really matter because I think the people that were sitting there were too focused on trying to like make it look like they were paying attention. But I was up the back. I was up the very back. That's why I like a green room, because if something happens, I can't. Don't get me wrong. I love reacting and laughing at like people's stuff, but sometimes I'm just like, "Ooh," or do you know what I mean? Like, especially whenever somebody doesn't handle it well.
I find it really impossible when I don't like something to fake my way through it. So see, whenever the whole audience are laughing and you're like, "Are you laughing because you find this funny? Or are you laughing because everyone in this room is this person's friend? Or are you laughing because the BBC commissioners are right behind us? Or are you laughing like,
So
why
we
are
charity
you laughing?
chuckles. I don't want charity
I don't
chuckles.
want a charity chuckle.
Yeah, and like just see if something doesn't work, you're better acknowledging it as well and going, "Well, that fucking fell flat on its face." Because usually whenever you do that, it releases the tension and people
But
will
I've
go,
been in a situation where, like, there's a comedian here, based here. We went to university with him. He was actually in between us. He had us as a sandwich, a bread sandwich. Right. But he came over to London, and it was in his early days of trying to trial stuff in London. And I had done this thing where my friend from Derry was up, and I had cycled from Bethnal Green to Richmond, and then from Richmond back to Bethnal Green. And then he contacted me and was like, is there any chance you can come and like do some laughing for me?
Oh, really?
Like, because I have a laugh. Like, if I find something funny, it comes from like my belly button and flies out, and I'm like, and it's loud, and I'm like, yeah, I'll come. So I went, and I remember this joke that they had done had fallen flat on the English ears,
right?
And then when we were talking about it after, and he was like, listen, that joke fell flat, da 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 da, and I took that as a cue to give him notes.
Did you?
Yeah.
I kind of like
that. And I started, no! And his face was like,
raging?
What? And he just muffled a thank you. But how I was shaping that joke was going to land better. I was like, I think what you need to do, you need this setup, you need this, and then you go this. But then looking back now and listening to other comedians talk about getting feedback, it's like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. Right.
Yeah, right. I don't mind it actually. Like because Kurt has came to some of my gigs, and I would go, I like it. He actually does the thing where he gives me the positive feedback as well. There was one time whenever I actually left a wee line out of something that I said, and I still got a great laugh. I think the thing is as well that we're preppers, because we've done this in uni. We know how to write a script and rehearse it and stick to it. So like I not shitting on anybody, but whenever I see a comedian get up holding a wee pad, I'm like, do that again. No, but I'm like, don't do that, because the audience loses faith in you right away. They're going to think, because they like to think they can only relax if they think that they're not having to take on your embarrassment or some shit's going to go wrong. So I don't do that. I'm like, I'll have that shit down. Do you know what I mean? And it's gotten to the stage now where I go off on tangents, because I'm like, fuck it, I was going to do that, but whatever, you've distracted me now. But it's like, I like it when, somebody can go, or Curtis can go, do you see whenever you did that joke before, like it went brilliantly here, but nobody got to see it whenever you did this, you left that line, you dropped that line out, and I think that's what was funniest about it. Do you know what I mean? And I'll go, I think it's because I am used to taking direction and stuff, that I'll go, no, that's brilliant, thank you, I'll make sure to include that from now. Do you know what I mean? Like, because
I think like if you let your ego take over your whole being, you're not going to better yourself in
and
your
also,
craft.
I have to say, there was a woman who wrote to me and gave me a wee bit of feedback, and I actually really appreciated it. I was doing a gig up in Derry. Where was it? It was in this big, it was massively sold out. Paddy McDonnell, who's fucking hilarious, he was headlining. And I was on the Kosh, right? And I did that, and they were a brilliant audience. In fact,
Derry are a great audience, though.
William thought that they were fighting at one stage with me, so he ran out thinking he was going to have to fucking hit people and calm them down. But it was only I was asking the audience something, and they were all taking part and shouting back, because I went, where's a shit place to live up here? And they were going, so many people started screaming that I couldn't pick out a name, and I was going, so he ended up just going, Derry, okay. But they were just there for it, and it was fucking brilliant. But I do this wee bit sometimes where I'm talking about how we play things down here, where we're from. Like if somebody has a drink problem, we go, like there could be a chronic alcoholic, and we'll go, fond of a wee drink.
I likes to drink.
But I used to do that with them. I used to go, it could be an absolute bastard who beats his wife. Yeah. And we'll go, he's a bit of a temper on him, right? And I did that, and everybody laughed. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I had just thrown that in that night. I didn't usually do that one, but it fell in, came back to something I was talking about later, so I decided to throw it in. And this woman, lovely, sent me this wee message and said, can I just say I absolutely loved your set tonight? Like, I laughed so hard, yada, yada. So she prefaced it with something really nice. Yeah.
The shit sandwich.
The shit sandwich.
The shit
I love
sandwich.
The shit sandwich because I know what's happening.
Yeah, but then she said, the only thing I will say is whenever you said that joke about, the person who hits his wife, she said it made me feel really uncomfortable, and there was a few people around me, and I was like, oh, it was a bit, she said, because, shit, personal.
But also, you want to lay the joke, but you don't want to normalise the behaviour.
You don't want to normalise it.
Belittle
That's exactly it. And the way that she put it was so understandable, to the point where I went, you know what? I can really respect it, because she was like, please don't hate on me for saying this. And no, I know you're a comedian, and I know I shouldn't, and fucking please don't hate on me. And I just wrote back, that's grand, thank you for the feedback, because I think I will drop that now. I don't want to make anybody feel uncomfortable, because I know firsthand, that crack, and maybe it's triggering people. And I just thought, you know what? I can actually be funny without leaving that in. Yeah. It's not that precious to me.
It's not that precious.
You know what I mean? I got plenty of fucking funnies where that came from.
That makes you good at your craft, where you can take a kernel of something somebody says to you and then work it into your routine.
Yeah, or even if you're saying it, like you say, to not normalise that. Yeah. To demonise that and be like, do you ever see those absolute bastards? Yeah. Instead of offhanding it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, just completely...
The other thing, though, is... You get people who give you actually good feedback, but then you also get just backseat drivers who want to, they just want to make a point of, they think they know what they're talking about.
Or I could do that too. Oh my God, there was a brilliant example of somebody in the pavilion who shit-talked the whole way through, heckled, and then Luke McGibbon, who runs the pavilion, gave him a spot, and he bombed so shockingly that it was brilliant. Right. We were just like, it's that fucking easy, isn't it?
But people think that it is, because they think...
Yeah, you get our lads go, here's one for you. You can use this on stage, and you go, really? Dave Duggan said, I remember, Dave, up the Dave, God love him.
I love Dave.
So do I. He's a fucking dote. He's a gentleman. He said before, whenever we were doing playwright, and he came in to do like a wee module or something, and he said, see, if you're going to be a playwright, you actually need to write a fucking play. He said, there's so many playwrights sitting on bar stools down in Sandino's that have never fucking lifted a pen in their life. And I just thought, slow clap, yes, because you get people and go, you're a playwright, are you? Aye, I could do that. I've written, reminds me of that character in Pride and Prejudice who's like, I would have been brilliant at playing the piano had I learned.
But I honestly think, coming from... a low socioeconomic start in life, I think I would have been really good at tennis. Yeah. I just think that I've got the build. I was always a fast runner, right? Yeah. But it was mainly my training for running, and I ran the community games and all, and I ran with really wealthy people as well. One of them owned a shop.
I'd love to run with really wealthy people, see if some of them throw me a backhander, but not in tennis.
They didn't give us no money. What he used to do was, I remember going to, is it Mollusk? Is that what you call it? And they had a water park. And of course, nobody told, it was my first time being there, and I didn't know what happened. You ran your race, and you ran for the county, and we were there representing Fermanagh, and you ran your race, and you had everyone in swimming suits, and I didn't have the swimming suit with me. Right. And I remember the girl's dad was all to me, you can sit with me, and what we'll do is we'll watch them swim. And all I ever want, we didn't get any, we were that poor that we didn't get to anywhere because we didn't have a car. We had no access to transport. We were geographically impoverished as well as fucking not having petty flu or cool shit in your freezer like alphabites. All I ever wanted was something frozen, and my mother would be making spuds that are going to last you for the week, and I'd be like, this is great. Looking back now, God, my mother was amazing, but
I think we had a good dinner, but nowadays you go to yourself. I was actually really blessed. We didn't realise that we were eating organic, but it was because
it was all organic.
But we're poor as fuck.
We were poor. Yeah. Organic was just poor.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
We weren't getting any of the crap. Yeah. Any of the A numbers. And then whenever you feed yourself, you get older and you feed yourself, and then you develop all these intolerances, and you're like, have I been intolerant to this shit all along? Or am I inventing it because now it's trendy? Yeah. But it's because you had no access to that.
I love the way you're gaslighting yourself.
You gaslight yourself. You're like, am I jumping on a trend here? Am I celiac?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, but if I had been well off, I would have been a brilliant horse rider.
Oh, easy.
I could have been
a class at everything.
I've always told myself I'd be a brilliant hockey player if I was a Protestant.
Easy.
I swear to God.
Well, rich Protestant. Is that not the same thing? I'm joking, yeah. Not really. No,
I used to try and play hurling. Could never dip a ball, but I could whack it across the ground. Amazing. Yeah. And I loved the Mighty Ducks. So I was going, I would have
So you felt impoverished because you were like, see, if I had been a Protestant, my mum would have let me go to hockey.
And I said to my dad before, I was like, Daddy, can I go and play hockey? And he says, no.
Fucking no way.
I was like, because you'll get beat up.
You'll get a shot.
He's like, you'll die. And I was like, okay.
You might be good at whacking the ball, but the thing is that you'll not get a chance because they'll have whacked you.
Oh my God, sure. Sean's brother is Paddy McDonnell, and he did the that this is Paddy McDonnell, and I'm here to play extreme sports. But basically, he just brought his hurling stick over to Rathcoole.
Amazing.
And started hitting it about the field.
That's also great crack.
This is extreme sports.
Like, I think that people don't understand. Like, I used to tell people in London, and I didn't realise how lower class I was until I went to London. And then I was like, oh, right, this is how the world works. Because everybody had a flat that their parents bought them, or like there was something, and I was there grueling, sweating me tits off, working 40, 50-hour weeks in restaurants to save money for my part-time career as a writer to take place to the Edinburgh Fringe. But anyway, because nothing was funded then, like the Arts Council didn't give you fuck all. Nobody here cared. I'd be like this, the Northern Irish representative at Edinburgh Fringe, and then like things would happen, and then you'd be like, all right, okay. But when I was realising like my class structure, I just didn't understand the certain rules that were afoot of the game, and I'd be like saying stuff, and then they'd be like, what? So I would be giving examples, you know, in the rehearsal space of things like, but did you never like go and ping somebody's window and then they'd come out and chase you with a knife? Did you ever? And they'd be like, no, what are you talking about?
You know, that's sort of, I want that.
And I'd be like, that was my favourite thing. There was this family in the estate, and I fucking adored them.
Right.
One of the youngest girl used to break dance. Then the oldest boy was like, he was about 10 years older than us, but we used to play this game called Buck Joe. And Buck Joe,
I think I Buck Joe
was if only it was that game. Buck Joe was this thing where the older guy, I'll not say their name because I don't want to like incriminate them. The older guy would wear this mask, and he had this, you know, back in the housing estate days, the masks that you got for Halloween were just those shite things from Spar.
And people used to just pull them and let them snap back on your face.
And there was like 4 of them.
Yeah.
And you'd either be a witch or like
a zombie with the wee ginger
or
bit
like
of her.
the vampire one. So he had this rubber one that went on your head and was pretty like shaped into his face. It was ahead of the game. I don't know where he got it, but he had it anyway. So the point of this game was everybody in the
probably
estate
came off a sister or something. He skinned her alive and went, here you go, kid.
Looking back, I probably fucking did.
Yeah,
but like, the game was where you would queue up at the door, and what would happen was you'd enter their kitchen. Buck Joe was the masked villain. He would come out with this knife, chase you around the kitchen, and the object was to find your way out. But on the way out, the younger brother would stand and not let you out. And then he'd count down from 10, and you'd have 10 seconds to get out of the house whilst he was chasing you around with his knife.
God.
And you'd be like, ah! And you'd be kicking and all, and it was just
Get
insane.
away.
But we loved it, and we used to be like, will you play Buck Joe? Will you play Buck Joe? Like we were addicted to this fucking insane feeling of running and being
See what
chased.
you saying, Joe? Buck, you had to go into the kitchen, and Buck Joe, I was like, this is taking a very different turn. Are you okay? Do you say Buck for Fermanagh?
But no.
Like, I bucked your ma.
No.
Like, no.
We don't have that turn of phrase.
Do you like lettuce? Lettuce Bucky. No. Do you like turnip? I'm going to turn up at your door and Bucky.
I knew you were going there. I do actually like a bit of turnip.
Dude, I love a bit of turnip. They're too fucking hard to cut, but...
Really annoying. Did you do turnip as your Halloween lantern?
No such thing. Do you know what? Hats off to all the mammies who lived during their turnip days.
So hard.
Because I found it hard even just to carve it.
You can't
my ma's hands used to be cut off.
Oh.
And how did you do that?
And they'd be proper scary as well.
Yeah, but I used to be a wee bastard.
I
remember there was one year my mummy was like, love, I don't think I'm going to do the turnip because they don't have... And I was going, I really wanted turnip.
We'd be the only house with no turnip.
And we cannot have a turnip. We can't.
And it stank.
Yeah.
After like 2 days.
Smelled like farts.
Smell.
Even whenever you lit it, it just smelled like a fart. Do you know what I mean? Walking about with your wee fart box.
Oh, turnip.
God love mummies.
God love
the mass.
I mean, I don't know how my mother coped because she was more or less a single parent. And then there was like 5 of us. I was a lunatic. I'd be getting into all the trouble of the day. She'd come looking for me, and instead of swinging on a swing, I was the child that was up above the swing doing no-handed turnovers.
Yeah.
Like tumbling around with no hands. Because there was a part of my childhood, there was 2 things I wanted to do whenever I was younger. I wanted to be a dentist, but then I wanted to join the circus.
Brilliant.
So like the dentist thing was because I used to pull everybody's teeth. left because I wanted them to get the money so that then they would buy sweets so that then we could share the sweets.
Yes, that is genius. That's like,
So I used to like get a bit of string and yank out teeth, and my mother was like,
he's 50.
my mother
That's
was
not going to grow back.
but my mother would be like, she's going to be a dentist.
Yeah.
This is our route out of poverty.
Yeah.
She's going to be a dentist.
Incidentally, the route is still in history.
Exactly. Half out, and she'd have to go. She'd have to go to the actual dentist.
Had you killed me?
But we used to
my
have,
God.
we had this dentist, right, in Enniskillen. And whenever I started working in restaurants from the age of 14. And I remember my boss, the boss's son, saying to me, who's your dentist? And I was like, blah, blah, blah. And he went, I hope you don't go to him. And then he started laughing after lunchtime. And I was all, of course we go after lunchtime. Because that's whenever all the children go from school.
Yeah.
You know, you go after lunch or you go in your lunch. And he was laughing and he was all, no, but he's like fond of the drink.
Right.
He likes a wee drink. And looking back, I remember coming out of that dentist one day and going to my mother, Mommy, he put his hands into my mouth with no gloves on. And she was like, no, he didn't. Don't be saying that about the dentist, you know, because people from the house in the States have pride. You don't want to be saying anything bad.
It's like a
You
priest.
wouldn't- Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And the person in power.
Yeah.
But what he used to do was he used to get he used to be loaded getting the money for the NHS fillings, because you'd go in and you'd say, my tooth is sore here, and he'd be like, aye, but this one here needs work.
Aye.
And then all of a sudden he'd be there. I've got 4 million black fillings.
There was this a study that was done, and they actually did like a blind test as well, and it was showing that dentists, it was a ridiculous number. It was like 92% of dental surgeons that they had, observed were giving unnecessary fillings. But
I think
here's
my
the
mouth
thing:
is an example.
they didn't do it as much. They did it more to people from working class backgrounds.
Of course.
And obviously it's because like,
fucking knew
but
that.
they think because like we're not going to twig, right? And also you get the money from the NHS, whatever, and people of higher status are less likely to fall for it, and they want them as a return customer, so they're not going to do it as much. I must look it up and put it in the show notes.
Sure.
It was really interesting stuff.
Ever go to the school of dentistry? I only went for the first time like a couple of months ago for the first time, and you go in and they're like, no, there's fuck all wrong. They're just
Here's
like,
two paracetamol.
I hear like,
What do you mean
there's a
going
wee
to the
thing.
School of Dentistry?
Have you never been? The School of Dentistry is in the Royal.
A hairdresser
Yes.
that's training?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
No
actually,
way.
can I
And
just
you're
say though,
you're so used to fucking the dentist going like, you need this done, you need that done, you
Yeah.
need that done. And you go in there and they're just like, I cleaned that up, it's dead on.
it's fine.
Is it free?
Yeah.
Shut up.
This is the thing. If you don't have a dentist or you can't get an appointment with your dentist, you have to be there for like 6 o'clock in the morning.
I would do
Somebody
that.
I met the other day was waxing lyrical about them, because I have to say, people go, ooh, School of Dentistry. I went there once because I had my dentist she gave me to another dentist, and I got a different dentist years and years ago, and I didn't even.
I've had enough of these
I
teeth.
only had like one.
You take her.
Had like one. I used to go regularly to the dentist, but this one time I had chipped a tooth, and I
Right.
thought, my dentist said to me, she was the egg that would go, just keep it clean, you'll be grand, right? Just
But
make
that's
sure.
the problem, because we have ADHD.
I broke a
and
tooth.
ADHD people are
I'm sugar obsessed.
we're sugar
I'm
obsessed,
really bad.
and everything like sugary drinks.
Yeah, it's like
We both have a propensity. We're both propensity to drink the alcohol,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
high in sugar.
Yeah.
Like I'm sober.
Yeah, I'm sober too. I love the fact that you are sober, like as well.
I know.
and
Do
you're
you know
not,
what?
You're not shy
Do you know
about
what? I'm not, because I was full of shame, full of shame whenever I first got sober, because I didn't want to be the problem, and it turns out I was the fucking problem.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I have like looking back on things, and like a lot of the situations that I got myself into.
Do you know
were
something though?
Avoidable.
You weren't the problem. You
Trauma
had
was the problem.
problems.
Oh yeah.
Do you know?
Like Gabor Mate says, we never talk. We always say why the addiction. We never say why the trauma.
That's.
And I just think
brilliant.
it's just a far nicer way of looking at things.
And this
whenever
we had a lovely wee moment whenever we were speaking, and I was like, Kat, why weren't we friends before now? Like, what the fuck? And then we both came to the conclusion we were both drinking. We
would
would
be
have
dead.
wrecked each other.
we would be dead.
Totally would have wrecked each other.
We probably wouldn't be talking to each other.
Yeah.
This probably would. I always look at people that I have like instant connections with, where like your soul does this thing. Like we did this thing at that BBC thing where we were like like we were in love, like we were the only two people in the room.
It really was.
It really was. Like everyone had evaporated. But the minute that, because I had said I was sober, because I was freaking out, because like these things are free drink, and everybody is at a certain level of social lubrication, and then you feel like you need to be as heightened as them, and then whenever they get more drink, they go over, they get more heightened, and then you're like, shit, I need to lift myself up. I need to be in this state. Whereas you don't.
Yeah.
We don't need to keep
we don't
doing
need
that.
to do that, and it's great because we sort of operate on that baseline where it's like I'm sociable.
Yeah.
I actually found that whenever I realised where my awkwardness was coming from, it was because nobody had their sufficient amount of social lubricant yet, so they weren't. It was, see, whenever people started having a drink, then I felt more comfortable because I was like, right, now yous aren't, you know, so bad, so uptight.
God, that's exactly how I felt, because everyone was like standing, you know, really, really socially awkward until they started to socially lube, and then until, but like I was never like this, but now I've become quite awkward in social environments where the pressure is on you to like talk about yourself.
Yeah.
Because I like...
We don't do that well because we're not American enough.
I love talking about myself, but I can't sell myself to other people. Yeah. I think it's really...
My friend Aoife, actually, she works in the arts. She works for Art Sector, and she like manages these big, massive festivals and all. And she was doing something for me, and she was like, what the fuck is wrong with you artsy types? And I went, what do you mean? She went, you're so shit at selling yourselves. She went like, but I don't know, I can't think of anything I've done. She went, you've written this, you've done. She was able to rhyme off this CV of things that I'd done. She went, so you need to be putting that down. Like, I'll literally send CVs in that don't even have half of the shit that I've done on them.
But a producer once said to me, you know, we'll have, because I lived in, did I say this before? I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself. I lived in London for 10 years, and like I'd be going into certain things, and a producer said to me one day, you know, you need to learn the language of how you talk about your product and your skill set, because we'll have people that are of your equivalent, or you know, are where you are in your career, and they'll come in and they'll be like, yeah, I've just done this award-winning blah blah blah, and we've got this person in it, and they're just about to do this, and they talk about things that haven't actually happened to big their things up, or we have been shortlisted even though the shortlist was the only thing maybe that you could go on, or I was shortlisted and this happened, whereas we go in as Irish people, like,
you could have won a Nobel Prize and you would go, but sure, you know,
that's it. You know yourself, it's a wee thing. Or we say things like, we're in this little, listen, I'm in this wee play, don't come and watch it. Like, because I would say to people in my early days of writing, I'd be like, I've got this play on, and I'd be working in a restaurant, and I'd be flying play, but I'd be shitting myself in case it was shit.
Aye.
And I'd be like, but you mightn't like, what if you don't like it? Like, one person doesn't like it, that'll ruin the whole thing. And I'd be like, you don't have to come, but I'd really appreciate if you come, because like I have to pay the venue.
I think when you create things as well, as soon as you finish something, you're very quick to bin it off, because if you want to stay motivated, you want to be like motivated that the next thing will be the best thing. So then immediately
you don't want to become disheartened and then like not do it.
The thing before is just like, that was me just like working things out, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
So you're just like, you won't talk about things before or big it up, or because you don't want people to even know about it. You're like, no, that's all shite. Yeah. You want to see the next thing.
Yeah, don't worry about that. You know, it's that. But you know, funnily enough, mentioning Americans, I was speaking to my mate and her husband, and I was like, why are Americans like that though? Why are they also, let's do this, we are the best? And they actually said to me, and this was a fantastically said to me, do you know, I have a theory about that. He said, well, you know how the majority of Americans, you know, these like white Americans that are like that, and people that are, America is a nation full of people who went there on the boat, right? He said, so there's loads of Irish people that went there on the boat, and British people, and they were all go-getters, right? Yeah. So they all got on the fucking boat. They wanted to do something, and they were like, yeah, I'm going to get in the fucking boat, go to America and like own a potato farm. And they did it. And we're the ones that are left behind that are like, nah, fuck that shit. Sure, you know yourself. So they are genuinely, they're the descendants of all the people who got on the boats and went, yeah, let's go to America. And we're like the descendants of all the people that went, lad on fucking dickhead away, thinks he is something. Do you know what I mean?
Who do them famine ship people think they are.
I know, folks. Like, did you see that Titanic went down? That's what you get for fucking trying to get away and make better of yourself, isn't it? Well, sure, that's what you get, isn't it? Fucking serves them right.
How dare they?
God
think that they're better than
forgive us.
us.
Here, do you want to hear my dirty word of the week?
Yes.
Right.
Go for it.
Dirty word of the week. Oh, by the way, all posh people and like rich people are phlegmatic usually because showing emotions means you don't have money.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
That like links into what we were
Yes.
talking about. You know that stiff upper lip. So the dirty word of the week is faunophilia.
Is this to do with
Faunophilia.
faunophilia? Your flight, fight, fawn.
Fawn.
Or is it to do with a fawn?
A fawn, right? It is. Yeah, animals.
Animals.
So faunophilia.
You're allergic. You like to fawn.
Philia is like an unnatural love for something. It's
Yes,
like derives
right.
from that. So
You love reindeer?
you love
Deers.
It's the
Is a fawn a deer?
yeah.
You fuck animals?
A fawn,
I just like you were on the right path. So fawn. I want to give you the definition that I got
Is that
off
bestiality?
the internet. It's kind of bestiality.
It's
Bestiality
like pedo bestiality.
and abnormal.
Oh my god, kid animals.
No, you are going somewhere
Sorry.
dark. It's an abnormal desire. It's not Buck Joe, okay? It's Buck Doe.
Listen, if there's a knife
Did you like that?
involved, it's buck shoe.
It's Buck Doe.
Buck
An
doe.
abnormal desire to watch animals copulate. Right? So people who like, you know, like there's an old dog out in the street with his wee red crayon out and you're going, oh fuck, there's, do you do this? And from anywhere like you would have named, say you knew whose dog that was. You went, there's Sparky Malloy.
Yeah.
You gave them the family that he came from, surname.
Yeah.
Like our Sparky Malloy getting laid into Trixie McGowan. Do you know what I mean? Fuck me, he stuck to her. Somebody go out and throw a bottle of water. Yeah, it's wanting to watch animal. But you know, I giggled at this because
So weird.
I thought, right, Freddie Scappaticci, God don't rest his soul, it was caught with. Do you know who Freddie Scappaticci
No,
is?
that's what I'm looking
He
at.
was
you
a
like that.
super
That-
grass.
See, I give it away on my face there.
He was a super grass. He basically grassed up like loads and loads of people during
I
the
do
troubles and shot
know
loads of people
now
dead.
that you're saying it.
And he was on the nutting squad, so he used to show up and shoot people for being touts all the while he was a tout.
And it would tights out.
And you know, people are starting to talk about him now because he's dead. But he was caught. The last time I saw his name in the news before I'd seen that he died, he had been caught with all this bestiality on his computer. And I remember thinking, bestiality, what? I went, what's that? Is that where like animals have sex? It's like animal porn? And I was like, okay, it's weird, but is it illegal? But it turns out bestiality is whenever people like have sex with animals.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus. But can you imagine what you would have called those pornos? Like 2 girls, 1 pup.
When I was in school, there was like a website that like everybody used to talk about where it was like all of that.
Oh.
And I had never seen it, but it was always like it was like, what do you call that? A wee like thing around the school, you know, everybody used to say about that. But
Like a wee rumour or something?
yeah,
So what was the website?
I can't even remember what the fuck it was called.
Do you remember there was rotten.com? And you would go on rotten.com and it just had all the most rotten things. Like Watch Me Rot or like, you know, fucking faunophilia. Do you know what I mean?
I'm slightly older than you guys, so we didn't have access.
Yeah. No, see, now in
that
saying that,
type of thing.
I didn't in school. Computers came into our school whenever I was sort of like, they filtered in around 5th year maybe,
Yeah.
6th year, and you know, so you had certain computer time and still fucking dial up. I do sound fucking ancient, don't I? But yeah, you used to like find ways to bypass all the wee locks they had on it, like you would go through a proxy.
Yeah.
You know, and try and get in that way. But, yeah, so the word is faunophilia. There are actually people out there who enjoy watching animals.
Enjoy watching animals and then they
must
seek
get off on
pleasure.
They must seek pleasure.
Because say, like, whenever I used to live in a flat block in Bethnal Green, I'm not saying that I'm into faunophilia, building this up like this is like my fantasy. It's not. It's in the rain. It's water. Very wet. But there used to be like some type of, I don't know what to call it, where foxes live, like a wee hole,
Den?
like a den, yeah, a wee cove.
Yeah.
And foxes, I don't know if you've ever heard of fox having sex.
Oh God, no.
But it sounds like a baby wailing.
Is it like cats? Like cats or? Oh my God.
What did the fox say?
It is. It's because, but I think that do foxes? I don't know.
What the fuck's going on here?
I don't know if I've made this up or if this is actually factual. I think the male fox's penis is like
Spiky or something?
Yeah,
Heard this.
it's spiky.
Must be true because I thought it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the noise that they
Must be
make.
sore.
But how would you find that? Like in faunophilia, is it just certain animals? Like, do you get arousal from when they're screaming like they're being stabbed?
Oh my God. Do you think there's like a hierarchy among
Yeah.
the faunophiles? Like
Yeah.
him, he's
Like a
into
bull
rabbits.
and a cow.
Yeah.
Like the cows don't really. There's no consent there.
Yeah.
That's more going into the rapey territory.
Half the time it's not even a cow. It's a big doctor with a big
It's a
fucking...
big-
If there's
easy.
one thing country vets has taught me, it's that every vet just loves having their hand permanently
Oh,
up
Jesus,
a cow's
they love
arsehole.
it.
Yeah, they're just
They-
like, put that... See, whenever they put that big long sleeve on, it goes up to their shoulder, they're like... I remember it was actually, they were checking for pregnancy in a cow, and he was like, right, I'm just going
I'm
to
just going to put my hand
But he
up
put
here.
he put his hand up
Is
the
that
cow's arse.
appendicitis or should I take
I
your
was
nippers
actually
off?
like, what the fuck? It was on that Jeremy Clarkson thing, and it was like, why are you putting your hand up its bum, though, up its anus, if you're trying to check for pregnancy? And he was like, oh, because the womb's on up here, and we can get the wee thing. And so they put it, that poor cow gets sodomized for
Poor
fucking
cow.
everything. Move away from me. Like, seriously, they don't even lube it up or anything. They're not
No,
even
they don't.
Not even a... They just go...
Straight in.
Go
dry.
in dry. You better watch out. You better not cry. You better not shout. I'm going in dry. Oh my God. Oh, Kat, I have absolutely loved you being on. Are you going to
I've
come on
loved being-
again?
Yes, I'd loved it.
Like, I think you should be a regular.
This is my first time doing a podcast.
Is it?
Really?
Yeah.
We've plucked your podcast cherry.
This is my. You took me knickers off whenever I
Get
told you my side was sore.
away. Yeah.
I told you my side was sore, and you went straight in.
And thank you for sharing. Like, you really have. You've been a brilliant guest. Thank you so much, Kat, for coming on.
I've
You've been
loved it.
absolutely brilliant.
I've loved it so.
I
Half
have
Bronx
loved
Diamond.
that. I love that.
I thought I'm gonna
And here, Kat.
message my wee mommy now.
Kat, are you going to be my best friend for life?
Yes.
Be a
We're
guest.
best. Oh!